Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. So we've got our jail system up and running quite well now that we can teleport ourselves to jail and it'll randomise over, I think, 2 guard who forgot to lock the gate and get out, or you can steal the key from guard as he passes. In this next escape technique, I think it would be really cool if we have a guard who's a little bit, not corrupt, but willing to heavy his pocket to help you, who he doesn't really care about. So I'm thinking we need a way where it can randomise that we get a semi-dodgy guard who will come up, and then we can basically talk to him, be like, hey, and I'll be like, what do you want, prisoner, kind of thing. And then we can say to him, I've got some cash they forgot taken off me, what do you reckon? I can give you the gold. Or we can say, you know, it's in the chest, go and get it, and he'll just take it out of the chest or whatever. So yes, I think in today's tutorial we're going to make it so we have a guard we can bribe to escape. So let's get started. So we are in our map here, and well, the first thing we need to do is we actually need to create some dialogue that lets us bribe with him. So I'm using the dialogue system for narrative quest and dialogue. If you don't have that and you're using your own dialogue system, that's completely okay. The only thing you need to do now is to create your own dialogue and then figure out how you want the settings to work. So in my case, I'm going to make it so it lists gold options, but only if I have that gold. So it's not going to say, I'll give you 1,000 gold if you let me out right now, if you don't have 1,000 gold. So first thing I'm going to do is come into my blueprints folder and then into my narrative folder, and inside my dialogues I'll just create a new one called jail guards, and I'll open this up. I'll open up my dialogue folder here and I'll create a db_jail guard 1, and the reason I'm doing it this way is it might be nice to randomize over the different options we can have, because you're not going to want the jail guards to say the same things every single time in the same voice. What if you've got a female guard? So it makes sense to be able to randomize over them, which I think will be quite nice. So inside here I'll just set his class default. So his name is jail guard, even though his tag is going to be jail guard 1. I think that's what we've already put on it. So if I look at his tag, oh no, he is just literally called jail guard. Okay, that's fine. So we'll just rename that to jail guard as the main tag. And narrative, when you start the dialogue or when you look for it, we'll try to find the closest jail guard. So if we imagine that we're in prison and this guard is walking in, and just like the key, we get the exact chance to talk to him. We're going to click on him. It's going to be us saying something. He's not going to say anything to us, is he? So I'm just going to add a player option here, and I'll make it so it's auto select, which basically means it'll just play straight away. And I'll say, because that's what they say when you want to get someone's attention, then say, how do you like to make some gold? There we go. And now you can really take this as many ways as you can think. You could have it randomized whether the guard actually listens to you or not, so we could just do a condition with a 50% chance or something, depending on how stubborn the guard is. You could actually make this one permanently active and just base it on the guard's stubbornness level, but we're not going to do that just for now. So we said how we'd like to make some gold, so then we can say the guard is interested in this. We'll just go straight to that and say some gold, you say. And then what we will actually do is if the player has no gold, then what we can do is add another dialogue line and say, just make him automatically skip everything and go, there we go. So we can make him say, I searched your pack when we arrested you, you have nothing. So we can add some conditions to this later, which will check our inventory and say the correct one. So if we just says this, then it'll just do nothing. It'll end of dialogue, that's fine. Some gold, you say, and then the player can say something like, that's right. And then at this point, you can decide whether or not you want your gold to remain on your character or be taken off of you. In my world, I think it makes sense if you're arrested, everything gets taken off you. So I'm going to go with, it's in my chest where I was arrested. That's right, it's with my gear. Let me out and you're welcome to it. So like I say, if you want it so your stuff remains on your player, then you can just change this text to be like, that's right, I can give you such and such gold, whatever. And then after this, the guard will drag off, and then we'll make him think about it for a moment, and we can make him say, and how much gold will that be? And this is where the player's options can now come into effect. So all these default ones are just the player speaking, but this one, we can start actually doing conditions on how much gold the actual player has. So I don't think I've got a condition at the moment which checks how much currency the player has. I think we've got one to give currency, haven't we? Yeah, we've got one for add currency. Okay, so in my case, in the narrative system, I need to create a condition to check if currency exists. So I'm going to come to my narrative folder again, and inside my conditions, I'm going to right click narrative condition. If you're not using narrative, all the conditions is ways of saying, can the dialogue use this node? And in our case, we're going to say, the player will say, you can have 5 gold, but the condition will say they can only say that if they've actually got 5 gold. That's all it's going to be. So I'll say NC underscore has currency, and I'm going to open this up. Inside here, I'm going to come to the class settings, and I'm just going to instantly set the display name to has currency, and then the description, and I'm going to set the description to check if the actor has at least the currency. And I'm saying actor because then we can reuse this on anyone. So if you say you arrested a prisoner yourself and you've kept him in a cage, and he says to you, I can give you gold, we don't want him saying, you know, checking the player's inventory. We want him checking his own. And then at least the currency, you shouldn't be able to escape jail if you've got exactly 5 gold. If you've got 10 gold and you're offering him 5, then you should still be able to do it. That's my logic behind it. The category, I'll just set to inventory, because that's where my currency is stored. Now I can come and override the check condition. All we do in here is actually check the currency. So the first thing we need to do is get the inventory of the actor we need to check on. So I'm going to drag off of this part here, and I'm going to do get all actors of class with tag. The actor class, I'll just set to a character, so a basic character. The tag, I will promote to a variable. Then off the out actors, we can't search all of the out actors. If you've got 5 guards and you need to see if they've all got the currency, I think that's a bit out of scope of this condition. So what I'm going to do instead is that from the out actors, I'm just going to do a for each loop over it, and we're just going to check if the actors you've passed in actually have an inventory. So I'll get the array element and I'll do get inventory component from target, and then I'll check if this is valid. If it's not valid, then we're going to ignore it and let it go to the next for each loop. So maybe you've said jail guards, but only one of the jail guard actually has an inventory for some reason, game board purpose, I don't know, but then this can actually cater for that. If it is valid, then this is where we can actually get the currency and check it. So I'll drag off of the inventory and do get currency, and then I will promote this to a variable just so we've got it in the right format, and I'll call this currency amount, make it instance editable, and then finally we can say, is the currency amount less than the current player's currency? Actually, I will do less than equals to, just in case they have exactly the right amount. And then I can basically just return this value, like so. As a safety precaution, just in case, on the completed, I will also return something, just in case you haven't got any characters. And that really should be it. So now it should come in, find your actor, get their inventory, check if your currency that you're checking for actually exists, and return. The only nicety I'll do is modify the get graph display text. So I'll just append off of this. I'll come in and say does, and I'll drag the tag in and connect it up. So does the player have, and then I'll add another pin to have the currency amount in and do currency. And remember, narrative currency in this case is non-named. It doesn't have a name, it's just currency. If you want it to be called gold, rubies, pounds, whatever you want, that's up to you. And now we can hit compile and save, and that's our condition done. So if we come back to our dialog now, and now our player will add the condition of has currency, and we can open all these up, and we will say the tag is layer, and the currency amount, let's do 5 gold for this one. And then on the text we will say, I can give you 5 gold. And then we'll do another one where we add another player response in. I'll copy this condition, paste it onto here. To copy it, I'm just holding shift and right click, and then shift left click to paste. And on this one we'll say they must have at least 10. I have 10 gold, and then we'll just do a couple more just so the player's got options, because then they might want to start low, and then you never know, the guard might get offended or something. So I'm going to add just 2 more in. So this one I'll do a bump up, I'll say 20 gold. How does 20 gold sound? And then finally we'll just do a big one, I think, and we'll say 50 gold. I'll just say 50 gold can buy you a lot. There we go. So at this stage, we now need to think how we want the guard to react with each option. Because if you can just give 5 gold to every guard, then there's no point for every other option. You may as well just have the guard take 5 gold. So what I'm actually going to do is come back to my NPC here. And just for now, I think I'm going to add, just onto the NPC guard specifically, a jail bribe amount. And I'll set it to a float. And I'll make it instance editable. I think eventually I'm going to overhaul all my characters and turn all the properties into data assets so we can copy and paste the guards over essentially, but for now it'll be okay. So now we have multiple options because some guards will like 5, some guards won't like 5. So for each of these, what I'm going to do is just to really add to the game is I'm going to do a yes guard and a no guard for each one. For the yes guard, we'll make him say 5 gold. All right, just sneak out the front without anyone seeing you. And at that point, we need to take the currency away from the player. So we'll just handle that by removing the currency from the player. So I'll come and do add currency as the event. And we'll say at the end, it'll just remove -5 from the player. So take 5 currency. There you go. And then for the no guard, we'll just make it say 5 gold. You must be joking. Enjoy your sell. There we go. So, and at this point, the dialogue will end. The guard will walk out. You'll just have to wait till he next comes back, really. And then I'm basically going to just power run through and do this for each of these dialogue options here. You could, of course, just make a generic one that basically says sure, and then just take the amount of gold. But for me, I just want more variety where I can add it. So there we go. So I've added all the dialogue in for each section. So for the 10, I've got 10 gold, that'll feed my family for a while. Sure, get out of here. For the 10 gold, no, it says risking my job for 10 gold, no thanks. For the 20 gold, it says 20 gold. Deal, but don't get caught again. For the failure, it says 20 gold. No way. Do you know what the king will do to me if I get caught? And then 50 gold will say 50 gold will buy me a lot. And it's carrying on from the dialogue, so it seems very nice. I'll say, all right, but if anyone asks, you served your time. And then for the final one, I've just basically said unbribable. You can't do it at the moment. And he'll just say, you can't bribe me. You need to make me a lord for that. Something completely out of the player's reach. So that's pretty much the dialogue almost done. The only thing we have to do now is if he accepts it, is we actually just need to make it unlock the jail cell so the player can actually get out. So I'm just going to create a generic node down here. So on this yes node here where it takes the currency and unlocks it, do we have any jail events? So we don't have any jail events at all, which is completely fine. So I'm going to come and create a new narrative event. And if you're not using narrative, the events are just ways of executing small portions of code in generic function files, so we can reuse them a lot. So for example, the take currency or add currency is a simple event that simply does what it says. It's really reusable. So I'm going to come and create a new narrative event. I'll call it jail state change because then we'll be able to do multiple things with it in future. Like if we ever wanted to lock a jail from dialogue, we could. So in the class settings, I'll just populate the display name, jail state change. The description I'll set to unlock, lock, open, close a jail. So you can do all the variety of different things. The category, I'll just set it to the jail system, and then we can now come and override the execute event. So the first thing I'm going to do is we need to find the jail cell that we actually want to unlock or lock. So we need to make this jail event really generic. So because the player can be randomized into any jail, we need a way of finding the player's current jail. But again, we might be using this for another character instead. So we need to make it generic. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the character who's in jail. So I'll just do get all actors of class with tag. And then again, I'll just search for a generic character. And then the tag I'll promote to a variable. I'll make it instance editable. So now we've got the character we're looking for. And this one can stay on a for each loop because maybe you want to let out an entire bandit guards for some reason. So I'll just for each loop over this one. So now from this, we actually need to get this character and get their current jail cell. So I've been having a look over the jail cell system we've set up to try and find how we can do this. We could add it to the character and the player, but then we've got a sort of reference loop going on which can cause a lot of build errors, headaches. It can be very, very messy because we've got the jail cell saying here are the characters that are in the jail cell, and then we've got the characters saying here's who's in the jail cell. When the code is compiling itself, which one does it compile first? If you compile the jail cell, it will fail because it's not compiled the characters. If you compile the characters, then it'll fail because it's not compiled the jail cell. Which is why you tend to want to avoid these loops where things reference one another all the time. So I think instead what we're going to do is, for now, we'll just add a new event to our jail cell, which will check, is this character in this jail? And then we can loop over all the jails in the area and check it. And then in the future, when we create our jail manager blueprint, it will basically sit at the top of each jail. So it'll sit like in here kind of thing. And it'll have a list of all the jail cells in here. And then we can move all the characters from that into the jail manager and just search that instead. So we find the current jail manager that we're in range of. We search through all the jail cells saying, have you got this character? So for now, we're just going to search each individual jail cell, which will be a little bit messy, but it will work. And then in the future, we will come back and improve it. So what I'm going to do, I'll just drag off of this and do get all actors with interface. And I'll search for our BPI jail cell. And then I will for each loop off of this and and then we're basically going to search if this character exists. So I will come and open up our BPI jail cell, and we'll add our function, which will be our is character in cell, and then we'll simply pass in our interface because that's what we use, and it'll be our BPI character. We'll hit compile and save. Back on our jail cell, we will implement this interface, is character in cell, and all this is going to do is look over the private characters in cell, and we'll say, does it contain the item this? And we do need a return value to actually say yes or no. So back on our interface, we'll also add an output, and we'll just say contains character, and we'll set that to a boolean, and we'll hit compile and save. And then back on our jail cell, it will complain about this, but that's completely fine. Let's re-implement it as a function now, because we've added the return value, and we can connect it all up like so. So now this is going to search all the private characters in this cell, check if the character exists, and then give us a boolean, which is perfect. Back on our event, we can drag off of this and say, is character in cell, connect it to the loop body, and then from here, we're not going to be able to plug in the character directly to it, but what we can do is get the interface from it. So I'm simply going to cast to our BPI, and you might think, isn't casting bad? Casting is okay in this case because it's already in memory. We're loading the actors, which have the interface already, so we already have the interface access, so we're not really taking any more or any less memory. And then from there, we can add a branch and say, if this character is in jail, true, then we know we can actually start modifying the jail. If it's false, then we're going to leave it to go to the next for each loop, back to this for each loop, and then we'll just add a completed down here. So after it's done everything, it'll return it. So as soon as we're going over all the jail cells here, I'm just going to promote this to a variable, a local variable called current jail cell. So now we have the current jail cell all plugged in. So now what do we want to do to it? So the first thing we might want to do is unlock it or lock it. So we can call the set unlock status event, which we have, and plug that into true. And then I will promote this to a variable, and we'll just keep it called unlocked. So you can now set whether or not the jail cell is unlocked. And then we can also copy this, paste it over here. And we should be able to also call open and close. So we've got an open door here, and then we should also have a closed door here. That's perfect. So we will add a branch just before this, and we'll plug it in, and we'll say if the branch is true, we open the door. If the branch is false, we'll close the door. And then for the branch as condition, we'll promote it to a variable, call it open door. And now we should be able to hit compile and save. So because we've got the completed down here, it will work over every character in every jail cell, which is perfect. There is an optimization tweak we can do where we basically return this for loop after we've found our character in that jail, but because we're going to be replacing most of this in the future with the jail manager, I'm not going to worry about it just for now. And we haven't got that many jails in the game anyway, so it's not even going to be a massive performance hit. But it just could be better, that's all. So back on the jail guard one, we will add an event to this one where he says accepting it, and we'll do jail state change. We'll do it at the end, and the tag will be our player. We want to unlock it, and we want to open the door. And then I'll copy this, and I'll basically just go and paste it across every single one. So all I'm doing is coming in, adding a new item, and then shift left clicking to paste it. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that might actually be it. So now we just need to set this up as an escape technique, and then we should be good. So I'm going to come back to my BP jail cell and into my add escape technique function. You can see here at the moment we're hard coding it just for development. So we'll come to the data table and we'll open up our jail escapes. We'll add a new one and we'll call this Bribe guard with gold. And then the escape technique we want, we actually need to set up. So we'll just come to our escape techniques folder inside the jail cells. And then we will just duplicate this one and we'll call it Bribe guard with gold. And we'll open this up. So this has got all the specific stuff in it that we'll set up in a moment. So back on our data table, we'll add this escape bribe guard here. And then back on our BP jail cell, we'll also add it just as a row name here, just so we can just try on that specific one. We'll hit compile and save. So now we actually need to set up the escape technique to call that dialogue. So I copied the steel guard key one for a reason, because it's got a lot of the stuff we need set up so we can actually fire a interaction through the jail cell. So we're getting the guard, which is the first thing, but we don't need to attach the key to him. So we can actually get rid of this, and instead, so we'll drag off of this BP NPC, and we need to get the component. So we'll get component by class, and the class we want is begin dialogue. All BP NPCs in my case have a begin dialogue interact, and all this is a component where we can actually interact with the guard. From here, we will do set dialogue, and we can plug this in over here. So I did say we'll randomize over the dialogues, but I think that might be a better one. So let's go back to the BP NPC, so the NPC guard in my case. I'm going to add a new variable called jail bribe dialogues, and I'm going to set this to a type of dialogue, which is the narrative dialogue, but I'm going to set it to a soft class reference. And I'm going to right click to make it an array. So what this means is we're going to provide each guard with an array of bribe dialogues. However, none of them will be loaded in memory until we specifically tell it to load it in memory, which is perfect. And then on here, I'll just add the singular one, which is our jail guard 1, and I'll hit compile and save. Then back on our jail escape, I'm noticing we're using BPMPC here. We don't actually need that. So what I'm going to do instead is use our specific NPC guard, just in this case. And then is this going to allow it? It'll just refresh these because you know what Unreal's like sometimes when you change it. Then we get in their specific one. We're setting the dialogue, but just before we set the dialogue, so we are going to have to redo this for each loop just because we've changed the data type of it from BPMPC to NPC guard. We'll plug it in down to here for the completed. The array actor can be plugged there. And then from here, we can drag off and we can do get bribe dialogues, which is perfect. We will randomly get one just for the moment. Eventually, we'll set up proper profiles where you can say female guard, male guard 1, male guard 2, female guard 2 kind of thing. And then from here, we can now call load async class asset and we'll plug it in. And then from the completed, we'll plug it into the set dialog here. And then from the random, we will just call resolve. So if you've never used soft classes before, they're super easy. The only difference is you can't access them directly. So what you have to do is do something called loading and resolving. So the first thing you do when you've got your soft class or your soft object is you load it. And then once it's loaded, then you can call resolve or just connect it up like that, where you just type resolve soft reference. The reason you have to load it first is this resolve will basically say, here's the location of the object in memory, go and get it. But if we've not loaded it, then we can't get it. You can see this if you hover over it, it says if it's not loaded in memory, it will return done. So always load it, on completed, then get it. So then we can wrap this in a nice comment saying set guard dialog. And the nice thing is the way we've done it is it will go over each guard we've got. So if we've got multiple guards, and it will give them random dialogues, meaning they may also have random voices and other stuff like that, which will be nice. After this, we come across, what do we do here? So we are waiting for the item to be picked up, which we don't need to worry about. There we go. So this will keep the jail cell locked, and then the dialogue will unlock it afterwards. And that should be it, ladies and gentlemen. So we will give it a try. So let's try it now. So if I drop myself into the jail and we get a lovely crash look, can we see what the crash is? Something to do with trying to connect to the internet. Okay, we'll send a restart and try again. So now we're back in here. If I go to jail, you can see, so we are here. If we just press F8 to break out and just pause it, if we find the guard who, because of the optimization, has been hidden away. So if we find the guard here, we can check his dialogue. So on interact dialogue, we can see he has been assigned jail guard 1, which is a good sign. So if we play the game and just wait for him to casually walk up, the reason we can't see him is I've got a plugin called NPC Optimizer, which basically hides anything on screen, optimizes the NPCs and stuff, makes it really nice, but it makes it a bit difficult with this. So he should be coming in now. So now we should be able to interact with him. There we go. Psst, how'd you like to make some gold? Some gold, you say? So that's right. Let me get my gear. Oh, it's going a bit fast for me to speak, but yes, so it's all there. We can see it's all right here. So apparently to this, we do actually have 50 gold. I didn't think we did. I didn't think the player had anything. We'll have to check that in a minute. We'll say I can give you 5 gold, and he will say 5 gold. All right, just sneak out the front. The gate opens and we can leave. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. How cool is that? Oh, wow. Something's really butchered out here, isn't it? I need to fix this flag. But yes, so if we search the inventory, we do actually have 50 gold. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. So that's why that worked then. So if I come and find the player state, let's actually test it by reducing the amount of gold we have. So I will click my inventory. And yes, we do indeed have 50 gold. Okay, so I'll set we've got 20 gold. So now with this test, we should be able to see that most of the options have basically been taken off. So you'll see if I come back to the jail cell this time, we're in a random one. Is he coming into us, or is he? Looks like we're in the exact same jail cell as before. Interesting. So he's in there currently. He's in this room. He's coming past. He's walking the other way. No, he might actually be walking into that room this time. Now he's coming back out. So we can see when he arrives. We will talk to him. Psst, how'd you like to make some gold? Some gold, you say? That's right. It's with my gear. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Ah, there we go. So now most of the options have disappeared, which is a good sign. So the guard himself, I believe his default bribe amount is set to 10. So if we click, I can give you UE5 gold at the moment, he just happily accepts it. So we've got a small bug we need to fix where he's not checking the jail bribe amount. Apart from that, it's all working. So let's have a quick look at what we've done. So on the dialog file here, we've not added any conditions to check it. That'll be why. So on all of these, we actually need to check it against the guard's bribe amount. So we need to set one more condition up. So I'm going to come to my narrative conditions folder, and inside here, I'm going to come and duplicate the condition we've just set up for the has currency, and I'll just say, does jail guard accept bribe, I guess. There's not really any more way we can make it really generic, is it? We've got one variable called jail bribe amount, we need to check it. So in that case, it needs to be pretty specific. So into the class settings, we'll just say, does jail guard accept bribe? And in the description, we'll say, does the jail guard, well, I can just copy it, it's a very specific name. In the category, we'll just set it to jail system. So we'll come in and we are finding the specific NPC guard. Then we will need to delete the for each loop and redo it. And from here, we don't need to get the inventory. All we need to simply do is get the jail bribe amount, and we'll plug it in to the boolean we have over here. So we set the bribe amount to a float for some reason. I don't know why I did that. So we'll come back and we'll just change that to an integer. Must have been a mistake. Compile, save. There we go. So now it lines up properly and we can connect it to the return body here. So it'll come and find the guard, loop over it and check, do they accept at least that bribe amount? The get graph display text, I'll say, does the guard accept bribes of, and then we'll put the currency amount in and remove the last bit. There we go. So now on our dialog, all we have to do on each of these is add the condition of does jail guard accept the bribe, which is a fantastic name, and then the tag. So this is where we run into a bit of an issue now. We can't put a tag on there because this can be generically used by any guard. So what we're going to have to do instead is back on our condition, instead of using a tag approach, we might be able to use the pawn variable. If we just cast this to our NPC guard just for now, just as a test, then we can come over and add it to the interface. We don't need the for each loop anymore. We should just be able to plug it in like so. And what this is going to do is get the player that we're currently running the condition on, the node. So in this case, we're running it directly on the jail guard, so it should go and get the jail guard. And then because we've done it this way instead, we don't need the tag anymore. The tag's still in use, so we'll get rid of the B one, and we'll just say, does speaker, and we can even get rid of this one as well actually, does speaker accept bribes of, and then it'll say the currency amount. So compile, save, back to here. Do they accept bribes of 5? So in theory, that should work. So if we copy the conditions and paste it on all of the yes amounts, what this is going to do is it'll come down in narrative and it will check vertically and then by order of assignment. So we assign the yes to it, then the no to it. So it should always go, do they accept this bribe of 5? Go to here. So it'll come down, it'll say, does this node pass all conditions? Which is, does it accept a bribe of 5? If they don't, it will go to the next one. And then we just need to up the amounts for each of them. So now, if we compile and save, if that works, this guard should be offended if we offer him 5. Okay, so the reason this is failing, and you can see I've had to delete a bunch of stuff to try and get it to work, is the pawn and the controller is literally for the player. I figured it'd be the speaking avatar, apparently that's not. The next thing I tried, which wouldn't work either, is I got the current dialogue and then I got the current speaker. But due to the way narrative works, we're not technically speaking at the moment. So the event comes down to here, it speaks this one, then stops, then checks if we can run this one, but we're still the current speaker, so it's checking the player, which isn't right. So the way we're going to have to do it instead is, unless we can provide a specific tag, or maybe in the future our jail manager will handle something better, but we're just going to come and loop over all the speakers and get the speakers. Because each jail guard is only going to have one thing there, one speaker anyway, so it's a little way around it. So we're going to get the current dialogue, then we're going to get the speakers. From here, we're just going to go off and get the first one, because we don't really need more than one, because there isn't going to be more than one. Then from here, we can now break, and we can make loads more room, and then from the exec of the function, we can simply do get actor of class with tag. The tag we want is the speaker ID. The actor class is our NPC guard. Then we're only going to get one of these anyway. So then we can drag off and we can simply do get bribe amount, and we can plug that in, and then we can finally plug in the exec like so. So a little bit different to do the condition, but potentially something we need to suggest to add to the conditions, the current node that's being checked that could be very useful. But yes, so if we come off, we can now play it. We should be able to get sent to jail. We'll bribe him with 5, he'll get offended. We'll bribe him with 10, and he should be happy. So we'll come in, we can, oh no, we can't interact with him. We'll press P to go to jail. Where is he? So you can see he's now coming into the jail. Let's talk to him and say, hey, how would you like some gold? We'll say 5. He'll say, you must be joking. We speak to him again, and he will say 10 gold. And he says, 10 gold, that'll feed my family for a while. Sure, get out of here. And we can officially run away. How cool is that, ladies and gentlemen? And now a proper bribing system. If we connect up the other escape techniques, we now have 3 ways to escape jail. The incompetent guard leaving the jail unlocked, the guard stealing the key, and us bribing the guards. You can easily mix and match these and have multiple going off at the same time. Maybe that's something we look at into the future. Let me know in the comments if you would like to have multiple escape techniques at once. Maybe a guard has a key, but he's also corrupt and you can bribe him. Maybe he's got the key and he's left it unlocked. We could go either way. The only other thing I did want to fix just before we wrap this up is I didn't like that it just said to him, interactable object. So his name is Jail Guard. There we go. And I'll just hit compile and save. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is our 3rd escape technique. If you've got any other escape techniques that you'd like to see, let me know below. I think the only other one I've got written down is in a big room like this. You have like a trap door on the floor that you can get to an underground bunker and escape, but that's going to take some time for me to sit modeling it. So that one might be coming in a while. But after that, we need to make the jail escape manager, and we need to make the guards chase you if they see you, but that's branching into our AI branch. So there we go. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. My name is Decryption, and I will see you next time.